Welcome to another episode of the Big Brand MMA podcast, episode 64, Bellator 293. Marcelo going versus Daniel James. I'm your host, like always, BigSteve. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Like and subscribe if you haven't. No UFC, no problemo. Kind of happy that there's no 4 cards this week, like usual. Just get to focus on the regionals. Bellator's been good to me. Didn't really have anything on the last Bellator, but the first 2 Bellators, I think I just did just over 2,000 on each one. So just over 2 units per event, which is, that's what I used to do. One more units much smaller. So yeah, can't complain. A lot of cards, a lot of fights on this card. I'll try smash through it. I don't want to talk too much about it. Still have some PFL to do, 16 fights. This kind of reminds me of an LFA card a while back, a lot of popular dogs, a lot of lines moving. And me, myself, can't really settle on anything. But then when that card happened, a lot of the popular players lost. There was the Horiuchi LFA where he fought Peralta. And then everyone was hammering Horiuchi, and then Peralta ended up winning until he lost in the last second. So this kind of feels like that too, but hopefully talking through with you guys, discussing the fights, having my coffee, I'll come out with some more confident bets. The Big Brain Discord is in the description like always. Jump in if you wish. Still have the sharp people in there, some more people joining. It's growing. But yeah, the likes are very good. I appreciate the likes on the videos, but if you can, comment as well a little bit. There's no comments on the videos. Comment your favorite bets. Comment what you disagree with, agree with. If you, like I mentioned before, if we get to 500 subscribers again, I will be giving out money for comments. Let's get there. Alrighty, that's enough of that. Let's get to it, shall we? So the first fight on the card, Maria Henderson, Benson Henderson's wife, versus Mackenzie Stiller. First thought I had after taping this fight is, why is not more money coming in on Stiller? She's got a judo background. She has no professional fights. She finished all her amateur fights via submission in round 1. And, she's got a nice judo throw. Has a judo background, I'm pretty sure. Well, not pretty sure, I'm 100% certain. Her nickname is Mac Judo. She just judo throws everyone and, does the all Americana scarf hold that's very popular that you see judo fighters do. The other chick, Montserrat Ruiz, does that too. The girl that was had an arm throwing that girl over and over again. Shanann Baez. So that's very popular in the judo sphere. And then the other side, Benson Henderson's wife. I'm not really 100% certain what her style is. I think she's a grappler. It says, Jiu-Jitsu Foundation. Pretty sure she trains at the MMA lab. She would have to, just like her husband. And she's got a bunch of subs. Fell for a triangle for a mount in her professional debut and has a rear naked choke and another triangle Americana. So she's got 2 of those. And a decision. The only fight I could find other than the finish in her pro debut was the decision against Amanda Mitchell, LFA prelims. So yeah, she's also a grappler. Didn't really seem to want to grapple much in that fight. But yeah, minus 200. Why is she minus 200? Because she's Benson Henderson's wife. A lot of the other lines were moving, and I'll discuss them when we get there. But this one, not much. This one just moved a little bit of money coming on her on Bet365. So I'm thinking, why don't I just lock this in? Maybe it's a fight where Henderson wins. Maybe not Mitchell, who I'm talking about, someone else. Maybe Stiller's not that great. Maybe she was just good in her amateurs, but she's 23 years old, so you have to assume some improvement as well. Maybe she can match the grappling. So yeah, I'll lean the dog here. I haven't played it yet, but I plan on sprinkling a little bit. All right, let's see. We've got some people in the chat now. Let's address the comments. MMA Crazy, what we think about the Matt Hamel Browne fight, bro? We'll get there, son. We'll get there. And thanks for the content. No worries, mate. Akai Fueled Mountaineer, how are you, mate? high-level fight here. Still a raw pass for sure. A lot of money came in on the fight doesn't go. I understand that because most likely if the dog wins, it might be by submission, right? I get that. They're similar price. And then you also cover yourself with if Maria gets a submission. My only problem is here are two good grapplers who might see a stalemate. All right, so that's the interesting thing. All right, let's move on. All right, Bryce Meredith versus Brendan Carrillo. So I didn't spend any time on this fight. I can't find Carrillo's one and only fight, which was in the Gladiator series, and it was a knockout over some regional bum. And yeah, Bryce Meredith, I didn't bother taping him because, yeah, I can't find any tape on his opponent, so what's the point? So we shall move on. The under is probably going to be juiced to all hell as well. Alrighty, next fight, Randy Field. Man, Randy Field always gets me distracted when I'm taping it. Always. It's not a good thing. Versus Ashley Cummins. Speaking of high-level fights, this is a high-level fight. I'm just kidding. This is one where I see people playing Ashley Cummins, and I get it to an extent. You know, she is the more experienced woman. When you tape Randy Field looks quite awful. I'm not too sure what Randy Field is good at. I actually wrote that in my notes. I think I just wrote that she goes after it, I guess. Yes, she's gritty, I guess. She just stays on the outside, looks to strike. Occasionally she'll go for takedowns. And, you know, Ashley Cummins, she's fought the who's who. She fought Frey twice in Invicta for the title, or at least one time for the title, atomweight title. You know, she fought Alexa Grasso, lost by Joanne Wood, all in Invicta. Alicia Zapatella, who was the current or the previous champion. So yeah, Jessica Delboni beat her, which is impressive. Delboni and Zapatella fought for the championship belt in Invicta. So yeah, fought the who's who. I actually thought she was a ground fighter, and then someone told me she's a stand-up fighter. It's because she just keeps hunting for. She's really easy to take down, and she just keeps hunting for armbars from her back. So I thought, oh, sure, this is a jiu-jitsu girl. And, you know, Jinyu Frey just wrestled her to a decision, survived a couple of deep armbars and just cruised. And Alicia Zapatella, in the last fight, one flu choked her. So I'm like, is she even good at jiu-jitsu? But she cracked Zapatella there. So, and I listened to the commentators, and they were saying, oh, she actually has decent striking. So ultimately, you know, I do favor her, but I don't know how people can confidently be playing her. You know, I see people tipping out this play and whatnot. Look, I get it and I don't. Like, I get it because, you know, Ashley Cummins, they fought a much higher level of competition. She seems to have good striking. You know, if Randy Field takes her down, she could get submitted. You know, Randy Field's been finished, you know, submitted twice in the amateurs and once by Sumiko Inaba in Bellator as a pro. And then against Maya Miller, the one-on-one fighter, she was in really bad positions in round one and survived on bottom mount and back control. And then she ended up getting her horrible naked choke in round two. But yeah, ultimately, she's fought a catch weight these last few fights, 120. And this fight is a catch weight. So Ashley Cummins was retired after losing to Alicia Zapatella. And, you know, she's moving up from atomweight, 105, to fight 115. So she's moving up 15 pounds for a woman. That's a lot. And I'm pretty sure she retired in 2020 after that last loss. And now she's coming after a 3-year layoff, out of retirement and moving up 15 pounds, and she's a decent favorite. She's trending towards minus 200 against Randy Field. So it's a massive pass for me. I get, you know, Randy Field's not good, but it's just, you know, she's probably improving, whereas this other one, I don't know why she's coming back really, maybe for a paycheck. Yeah, massive dogger pass for me. I mean, if this ends up being a stand-up fight, it's going to be a sweaty women's decision. If Randy takes her down and ends up in some deep armbars and doesn't get subbed, then all the value's on the dog because Cummins is real bad takedown defense. So yeah. Let's move on. Mike Hamel, Nick Browne, trending towards some good fights now. This is actually a really high-quality Bellator fight. And what I meant to say was a card, but the fight is too. A lot of high-level fights for Bellator standards and probably UFC standards these days. If you see some of the cards they're pushing out, they've got a lot of potentially ranked guys going up against each other. Mike Hamel could be ranked. He's beaten Mota. He's beaten Logan. He's fought, a ranked Boric to a split decision. So he could be ranked. And, Nick Browne knocked out Mandel Mello, who we'll talk about. So, yeah, this is a good fight, and it's on the prelims. Just tells you the quality of the fights. Mike Browne, he's been a money train for me in one way or another. I cashed him against Logan. I cashed him against Mota. Logan fight was relatively close, even though it was a unanimous decision, and the Achilles Mota fight was a split. And, they were both kind of close. I was sweating. I was watching the Hamel fight at work, so obviously couldn't really concentrate. I saw the live chatter. They're all saying, split. And he's just a gritty grinder, a grinder wrestler, southpaw. He'll fight for your money. He's durable. He's got good cardio. He'll mix in the takedowns. He doesn't have the best control. And, he's got a lot of intangibles that you like, but then also because of his lack of control and, not much finishing upside, he also goes to this to close decisions because, one deep submission attempt, maybe one big shot, one wobble, might lose him the round, and then, you go into a 29-28 split. But yeah, other than that, if you're fading his opponent because of the intangibles that he has, he's always going to fight the same. He took a beating from Usman and survived, so he's not going anywhere. And yeah, Nick Browne, a bit more of the same. Really grizzled vet, wrestling background for him too. Quite physical, very stiff, very slow. It's actually shocking to me that the guy is 32 years old. He fights like he's 45. But yeah, again, fight for your money. He's got underrated power in his hands. He's knocked out Sydney Outlaw, who's in Bellator. He ran through Troy Lamson on regionals. He ran through Trey Ogden, that's in the UFC via rear naked choke, who was a black belt at the time. That's quite impressive. So his jiu-jitsu is decent. He'll hook Bobby Lee. Knocked out Mandel Nallo, like I mentioned. And then, against Islam Mamedov, just got ran through. If you can shut this guy down, Nick Browne, you'll beat him just because he's a little bit slow. He's a little bit stiff. His wrestling's not the best. He will get a takedown once or twice, but a lot of the time he'll just cage push you because he's not very athletic. So if you can shut him down like old mate Islam Mamedov did, because he was a lot faster fighter and he was just staying on the outside, tagging him up and, getting takedowns at the end of the round to solidify, then it's an easy win. But it's just a lot of people can't handle his physicality and his pressure. Like Mandel Nallo hurt him and he was shutting him down. He was stuffing his takedowns and was lighting him up on the feet. And then eventually, Browne cracked him and he just finished him on top mount. Other people, Arthur Astrazoulas, when he was fighting for the LFA title, Astrazoulas hurt him. He was cracking him. And then eventually, just the constant pressure and the grind of Browne, he would end up on top. He would get the back. He has no quit in him. He would just keep coming forward. You either have to put him out, which is tough because he's never been finished, or you just have to shut him down, right? And I don't think Mike Hamel is someone that's going to shut him down because he's just another gritty, in-your-face wrestler, and he's going to put himself in the line of fire. Like I said, he was wobbled by a jab from Bryce Logan coming in. He dropped Achilles Mota in the first round, and then after that, it was a close competitive striking fight in rounds 2 and 3, and then which is why it went to the split. He couldn't separate himself. And, I think Achilles Mota is quite a similar opponent to Nick Browne, another big, athletic, strong Brazilian that wants to grapple and is kind of slow, lumbering. At this point, because of that, I'll probably play Mike Browne. I get why the money's coming in on Hamel, but now it's just getting beyond playable. $1.60, don't think how you can, cap Hamel at more than 65% at best. All the finishing upsides on Browne's side, the jiu-jitsu upside. Hamel's essentially going to grit him out to a decision, so maybe 60% at best. If anything, I'll play Hamel by decision. Right, I'll be shocked if he finished Browne, even though Browne gets hurt a lot. So dog or pass for me at the moment. Browne is hard to back. Especially against someone like Mike Hamel who will fight for your money. But Browne's beaten a lot better people than Hamel. Nallo's a better fighter. Astrazoulas, Trey Ogden. Some of these fighters are good, you know. So yeah, it's a dog or pass. I have no play. It's hard for me to have a confident play on this fight. Big Bird UFC, welcome in, my friend. Love the over in a Hamel fight. I would love it too, but something tells me that it's juiced to the moon. Maybe you can fill me in, since I don't have the props just yet. Let us move on. Christian Edwards, Rakim Cleveland. This is a pass fight. Probably the biggest pass fight on the whole entire card. Christian Edwards is not trustworthy. He's moving up to heavyweight for whatever reason. He was destroyed by Big Tuna Perish as a massive favorite, and now he's a massive favorite against Rakim Cleveland, a natural heavyweight. Well, not a natural heavyweight. He's also fat. Yeah, I mean, I think Edwards is a lot better fighter, bigger ceiling. He's actually beaten a better fighter before, like Simon Biong, who he's beaten trainer. We'll talk about him soon. He's got it in him. He's got the talent. He's got the potential. I think for Edwards to be upset by Rakim Cleveland, here would have to be a finish, knockout. But yeah, I just also think it would be quite memey. No one thought Ben Parrish would knock him out, and Ben Parrish hasn't really done that to anyone decent before or since then. He just lost to LFA, to a 38-year-old kickboxer. That fight just made him look better than he is. So yeah, it's a massive dog or pass here. I was looking at the under. Yeah, a lot of Cleveland's finishes just go over rounds 2. Christian Edwards doesn't really force it. So yeah, it's probably going to be juiced, so I'm not really interested. Let's move on. Wasted too much time on that fight. David L. Wait, who do you like here? You said Mike Browne. My bad, mate. I said dog or pass, which is Nick Browne. Akai fueled Mountaineer. How dare you slander Big Tuna? If you're not a fan of Big Tuna slander, you probably shouldn't be in the Discord. Because I was slandering him a little bit in the LFA card, and I was really upset that I didn't play the 38-year-old kickboxer in that one. He's all the Couch Warriors' favorite fighter, Big Tuna. All right, let's move on. Lance Gibson Jr. versus Vladimir Tokov. Another good fight that's on the prelims, at least for Bellator standards. So, yeah, Lance Gibson. Quite interesting to me that this guy, the commentators won't stop banging on about him training MMA or being involved in MMA since he was 2 years of age, which is just nuts to me. It's just a typical Bellator thing to say constantly. Like, how is he involved in MMA at 2 years of age? Just watching TV when he couldn't even walk? Yeah, just rubbish Bellator stuff. But yeah, you watch him and he just, the main thing is he seems green. He seems green. So, some people are made out for it, some people aren't. So, and what is he now? 28? He's about to be 30 years old, and, he's fought a low level of competition. He's undefeated in Bellator. But, who's his best win? Raymond Pena, a 9-4 guy. I think that's 9-6. Nyang Dong is decent. That guy cracked him, wobbled him. He ended up wrestling him. I think his best attribute is his grappling, because he might have been grappling since an early age with his dad, who's married to Julia Budd. But yeah, he likes to strike. He's a southpaw. He's relatively fluid. He mixes it in. But he can be taken down too, which is a problem here. So Pena took him down a bit. Dominic Clark. Now, in his last fight, Dominic Clark, I played the under 1.5 there. That was one of my favorite under 1.5s as part of my unbeaten run that I'm on. Not unbeaten run, but, impressive run. My under 1.5s. It was just under Pick'em. And Dominic Clark is an absolute quitter. He's 15-12. 12 of his losses, all by finishes. Quitting, tapping, giving up. And, I hammered that. I told all the boys in separate Discords. Now I have my own Discord. So if anyone's in I'll just tell everyone together, hit this play. So I don't have to go Twitter, tell this guy. And yeah, Dominic Clark took him down. Gibson got up multiple times and got slammed again. And just around the 2-minute mark, he locked in a triangle choke. And, Clark being the quitter that he is, he just ended up tapping and giving up at the same time, from the strikes. And it's like, yeah, it obviously has a clear hole in his takedown defense, right? He's not the most physical guy. He looks ripped, looks jacked. he can get his own grapple success on these on this average level of competition in Bellator. But yeah, when people have attempted to take him down, a lot of the times they have. Now Tokov, another young guy, is the younger brother of the Tokov that just fought against Eblen for the title. He's kind of grown up in the cage as well. You look at his first fights, Ryan Walker and Hastings, and he's getting gassy, very early getting gassed, getting taken down, reversed himself, and it's like, wow, isn't this guy meant to be a good wrestler? And then you watch his other fights against Chris Gonzalez, who I'm pretty sure is ranked now, a really good wrestler from Alpha Male, and you lose a split there, but he was handling himself well. Beats Daniel Scatizzi 29-28, and he's gradually taking a step up in competition. Chris Gonzalez is ranked as far as I know. Scatizzi is always up there, creating upsets. And then JJ Wilson, who was ranked as well at featherweight. And he lost a split there. Essentially held down JJ Wilson for 90% of the fight, rounds 1, 2, and 3. And lost due to really deep submission attempts, triangles, arm bars. And he just showed incredible heart to get out of it. But, we're in the current age where, grapplers don't win clear decisions anymore. Submission attempts and damage from the bottom wins. JJ Wilson, Scatizzi, Gonzalez, all higher level opponents than Lance Gibson. And he's, he might be one-dimensional, but he showed some striking against Scatizzi. He dropped him with an uppercut. He kept landing it. So I see a big improvement from him from fight to fight, and that wrestling obviously is still there. His physicality is getting better, which is going to be a massive issue against Gibson, who can't seem to stop a takedown against, regional quitters. The submission attempts from JJ Wilson, a lot more dangerous than someone like Lance Gibson, who submitted. It took him 2 minutes to set up a triangle against Dominic Clark. So yeah, I do favor Tokov. It's hard to get behind him at minus 200, just because he is so one-dimensional. Maybe I'm not giving Gibson Jr. enough credit. Maybe he is improving as well. But yeah, he seems to be a popular dog. It's not one that I can hit personally. I'd rather hit Tokov by decision. I feel like he just grinds out Gibson here. Gibson's just a little bit too pretty for me, and Tokov just too physically strong, too greedy. You have to be able to go head-to-head with Tokov in the wrestling like Gonzalez could and JJ could with the jiu-jitsu. I just don't feel like Gibson can do that. Tokov, but it's a pass fight for me. What do we got from Bird? Played fight goes the distance at minus 190. This is favorite spots on the card. Yeah, that's probably hitting, mate. If I had props, I mean, it's a better price than Tokov, so I think pretty sure they're correlated. All right, next fight, Lucas Brennan versus Josh San Diego, which roughly translates to whale's vagina. Just have to have a sip of my coffee. That's a joke from Anchorman. So if you're not aware, don't take that seriously. George Anaro, give the man a like and a sub. Thank you, mate. Always in here begging people to like and sub, and they still don't listen to you. I was up to 300 subscribers, and now I'm under. So some dirty bastard unsubscribed. So I'll find you, mate. I'll find you. I'll find you, and I'll beg you to subscribe back. No, I'm kidding. Alrighty. Yeah, this fight, don't really want any part of it. San Diego, he's fought in some good guys in years. I found 3 fights that were all ages ago. Kyle Reyes, Sean Bunch is a good fighter. 2016, fought Nerlene Hernandez, who was in the UFC in 18, and won 2 fights. Josh Neal and Brandon LaRocco. LaRocco's in Cage Warriors now in Bellator. LaRocco's in Cage Warriors now, but he won those last 2 fights in Bellator. So he's a winning Bellator fighter. So, it's still a step up. But I mean, he's 38 years old. He hasn't fought since 2019, so 4 years off. He's coming back. I'm not sure if he was retiring and they said, hey, do you want to come back and be a stepping stone for Lucas Brennan? Lucas Brennan, the only thing you can do with this guy, he has really good jiu-jitsu. People in my circle constantly try to fade him. I get it. You want to fade these young prospects, Bellator prospects, but this guy, you have to pick your spot. The only thing you can do here is maybe look at the over 1.5 or under 1.5. If Josh San Diego can survive potentially. He has been submitted via 10-finger guillotine choke in 2016 by Kyle Reyes and Ronaldo Velasco in round 3. other than that, he's held his own. But then again, Nolan Hernandez, Sean Bunch, not really the biggest submission threats. So it's just hard to get a read. No interest. So another pass fight. Speaking of pass fights, Archie, Colgan, Justin Montalvo. Good fight. I'm super surprised by Bellator, just prospect versus prospect matchup all over the card, and that's what you want to see, Maybe Scott is realizing I have way too many bust prospects on the roster. I need to see which one of them will sink and swim. I need some superstars. Montalvo, look, I thought this could be a good dog. The guy has very good boxing, rips the body, decent power. He will pressure you. He will swarm you until he eventually puts you out. He can be taken down. He can, be dominated on the ground. He was wobbled by Corey Samuels on the feet in his last win. Ultimately came back and knocked him out. He's a fluid fighter, fluid on the feet, which is why I thought potentially, I might be fading Archie Colgan. And then I did my tape, and Colgan is a beast. Really good explosive wrestler. Aggressive ground and pound. He's getting comfortable with his hands now. He's standing. He knocked out Brian Nuro in his second last fight. He was wobbling him all over the place. He doesn't really have to wrestle all the time now. Yeah, just really big natural power from the guy. He's a bit short and stocky. Ultimately, I get it being Montalvo and pass, and it is Montalvo pass. It's just, the guy. I actually faded him against Jacob Bond, the 10-7 regional dude. He's 12-10 now. It was a crazy line, and I just thought, look, he's a back taker. He's got some rear naked chokes. Like I mentioned, Montalvo does give up takedowns. He does give up back. Does give up bad positions. And I kind of didn't like the play. And as the fight started, I was like, yeah, this is where I was leaning. I was leaning towards maybe Bond getting those positions, but eventually Montalvo was just going to get up, break the hands, disengage, and pressure him and knock him out. And even then, in late rounds 3, Montalvo was getting taken down by sloppy telegraphed shots from Bond. So by the end of the fight, even though I knew I was going to lose, I was kind of happy with my play. So ultimately, it's like, what's he going to do here against a much better, much more explosive wrestler that's actually dangerous on the feet as well? I've actually seen Montalvo sparked cold in under 2 minutes by Justin Elliott Walker, a 2-5 regional dude in amateurs. And I checked his record; it's still crap record. So he's not. There's a big athleticism and explosive gap here, massive. Essentially, Montalvo has to go through the fire. Get up from a few takedowns, not get submitted, maybe survive some ground and pound, maybe get dropped on the feet. Yeah, like he got knocked out there, and then we've seen him hurt by Samuels. I think it's a good step up for Colgan, but he's just got too many advantages for me. So I'll have to pass, but yeah, I mean, it's tempting. The line is very tempting. Prodigy MMA, how are you, mate? First time. This might be your first time listening. I appreciate you tuning in. Montalvo season. I know what that means. That's a juicy Prodigy play right there. I wish you all the best. Akai, seeing a lot of Montalvo love as a dog. I don't get it. Yeah, I'm the same. Like I said at the start of the card, a lot of favorite lines that Steve, they're just going over my head. It's hard not to get tempted to play him. And I've learned to trust myself over the years, even though you feel like you're missing out on money. Steve Gregory, thanks for tuning in. Just told my 6 Twitter followers to subscribe, so the new subs are on me. Legend. If they subscribe, I'll pay you back. Montalvo line disrespectful, but would rather play over 1.5 than Montalvo on my line. Over 1.5 seems good. I don't see an early finish by Montalvo. Like I said, he likes to cook his fighters. Prodigy MMA sub, legend, absolute legend. Thank you. We'd love to have you on the podcast one day if you can. Hit me up. David L, thanks for the breakdown so far, mate. Hope you're going to do one for PFL as well. I love how PFL is finally having a good event when UFC is on break. I will 100% do an event tomorrow, mate. I'm trying to do these events 2 days before. So this is 2 days before Bellator, and tomorrow will be 2 days before PFL. So there will be a card. Thanks for tuning in. Alrighty, Joe Davis, Jeff Creighton. I've completely skipped on this one. Not saying I'm not going to revisit it. Obviously, the line is insane on Davis. It's not going anywhere. I didn't have to rush. Jeff. Let me just have a little wiki cap when my laptop loads. Yeah, fought in 2022. Got ground and pounded by Max Roshko in under 3 minutes. So, otherwise hasn't really fought any good level of opposition. Yeah, it's a pass. I'll have to revisit Joey Davis, maybe the under 1.5. But other than that, I mean, yeah, what else can you play here? Alrighty. Pam Sorenson, Sara Collins. Another fight where money's coming in on Pam. And it's just like, yeah, you guys are very brave. Fair enough. I get that this is a step down in a sense. Sara Collins, 3-0 from the Australian regional scene. I remember taping her when I was betting on some Eternal MMA, a regional Perth promotion where Jack Della came from, and the old Ross Turkish Delight. And yeah, she's essentially a judoka, a big featherweight judoka. She's fought at lightweight as well. She's a southpaw. Her hands are not bad. I think, let me just see which girl. Jameen Edenden. Jesus. Yeah, I was taping Janine when she was actually fighting one of the girls that trained with Scrap. I cashed her as a big dog there. And Jamie's meant to be a decent striker, and Sara was lighting her up from the southpaw stance and took her down, multiple times. She has a really good judo throw, just like another girl we talked about before, fighting Ben Henderson's wife. So she's got that the overhook judo throw, and she goes, for the same scarf hold. A lot of the girls don't get up from her back when she goes for it, but I mean, really low level of competition on the Australian regional scene. What can you say? And she does train with Dan Kelly, the old judo Dan, right? So it makes sense. So Pam Sorenson, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people know about her. She's fought Invicta. She was a champion as far as I know. She lost to Felicia Spencer, was choked out in rounds 4. I mean, but even then, look, like she lost to Shanna Young, which is a massive red flag. She beat Caitlin Young. She's just not an athletic girl. She's 37 years old now. 36, pardon me. Don't want to be adding years to her age. She's come into the UFC. She's had another step down, right? In Roberts Palm Samad, right? Who's 5-2 now, and she was 34 years old. And she went to a split decision with her. They stood up for 2 rounds. It was competitive. And, she got taken down in round 3, and she didn't get off her back. She's a turtle. With these girls that are good grapplers and have good quote-unquote submission defense, takedown defense, pardon me, you got to be careful. What if they do give up a takedown? It's a low women's MMA fight. You got to assume they're going to go on their back at some point. Sara Collins is a judo person. Yeah, like, what happens then? What if she ends up on her back and she's a turtle? Like, you're sweating your -200 play. And then the Zingano fight, I couldn't find that Zingano fight, but I remember watching it. Man, that was like a levels fight. And Zingano, almost 40 years of age, should not be looking like a levels fight against you. It's just athleticism and actual proper freestyle wrestling from Kat, whereas, like I said, Pam's not very technical, not very athletic. So yeah, just a dog or pass for me. I'm actually considering playing Collins. Prodigy MMA. Collins gas bag. I don't know, man. I've seen 2 fights of her going into round 3. She does slow it down. But so does Pam Sorenson. So, yeah, I'm actually maybe considering this judoka just because she might get a takedown and just athleticism and. But that's only if the line keeps going. I'm in no rush to play a fight like this. There's much better higher level fights. And here's another one. I love it. Adam Piccolotti, Mandel Nallo. Great fight. 2 great guys, not ranked, but could be. I just think, I think the Bellator rankings is very messed up, the lightweight division. I think they're finally sorting it out. They had Cauley and Benson and the bad Pitbull brother up the top and, 37-year-old Primus. And it's like, man, there's so many better fighters that should be in the top 10, top 15. And I think over the time, Shabli's there now. It's going to even out. And they do have... These guys could probably be in the bottom 10 region or 15 of that division. They just need to get some good wins under their belt. But yeah, Piccolotti, I actually taped them in depth more than I ever have. when I was looking to fade him against Masoud Banoui, who's one of my favorite fighters. Just an amazing grappler. I love him. And, you know, what I came away from that extensive tape was, yeah, he kind of seems like a good grappler. He's a good back taker. But when you look at his career, you know, the David Rickles fight, I didn't really tape it, but when I wiki capped it, and I was like, David Rickles, how did David Rickles beat him? And I went and watched it, and then watching the other fights, you know, his striking is atrocious. It's quite hittable. Yeah, maybe chinny. I don't want to say chinny because he hasn't really been knocked out, but let's just say more the defense. And then grappling, how good is his grappling? You know, if he's getting submitted by Yamauchi, you know, had his back taken by Henderson, lost the competitive split decision. I washed Henderson at that point. Had Sydney Outlaws back a few times, but Sydney had his back. And that's ultimately what made me play, you know, Banoui as a decent favorite, and he ended up covering, you know. And, you know, Georgi Karatarian was lighting him up, and, you know, obviously ended up winning with the wrestling. But, you know, he's 34 years old, and it's like, man, this kid, always thought this kid was some prospect, but it's just like, you know, that's his ceiling. He's okay wrestler with good back takes and crap stand-up. On the other side, you know, Nallo, you know, Rat Garbage, beautiful nickname. Same thing, you know, 33 years of age. I remember this guy being such a prospect. I was like, man, this guy's really good. And then he just barely fights, and whenever he has some sort of step up, he loses. Yeah, just fluid striker, big KO power. He's got knockouts with his head kicks, with knees, one punch KO power. But yeah, you know, he's taken a step up against Kilias Mota. Just a weird freak. You know, perennial nerve. The leg gave out from the calf kicks. He's got a very wide stance. Took a step up against Nick Browne, who we just spoke about before. You know, dropped him in the first round. He was lighting him up, stuffing his takedowns. Went for a dance. He does like his dance. He went for a dance against Carrington Banks and then abandoned it as well. And then, you know, Browne caught him and mounted him and finished him. And then he just rebounded with a beautiful counter right on the back foot against Bryce Logan. So he's knocked him out in round one. He knocked out Ricardo Seixas in round one, who's very chinny. You know, knocked out Carrington Banks with a knee up the middle. So, you know, you give him a step down, he'll get a highlight reel knockout. Give him a step up, he'll lose as a big favorite. And he's a big favorite here as well, but ultimately I'll lean with him. He does have a really good first layer of takedown defense, really good underhooks. You know, he's not the most physical guy, which is why I think Nick Browne's pressure and power kind of overwhelmed him. But yeah, really good underhooks. If you take him down, he'll use the wizard to stand up. He's a black belt in Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, I'm pretty sure, under Zahabi in TriStar. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. So you can tell he's a grappler, you know, and he's never been submitted. He's fought OAM on amateur regionals and, you know, went to decision, didn't get submitted. So I do like his first layer of takedown defense, although when he did get taken down against Kilian Mota, I think in the second round, he didn't get up for a while. And I don't like to see that. I wanted him to get up. And that Kilian Mota, I don't know who was winning that fight. It was just kind of like close, and he was stuffing the takedowns, and he was, you know, throwing. And then round three, the injury happened. But it's like, it was another big physical guy, you know, just like Nick Browne. And I feel like here, he's fighting Adam Piccolotti, 34-year-old, older lightweight, who's got really bad striking defense, especially to the straight punches, the 1-2s. You know, he's going to be shooting for takedowns. Nallo might stop some. But what if, you know, Piccolotti's going to keep shooting for him? That's my only thing. So it's like, I get the dog or pass aspect here. I get it because he's going to wrestle for 3 rounds, and, you know, Nallo's dropped the ball as a favorite before. And how does he cover unless he gets a knockout? But yeah, in my gut, I lean Nallo. You know, I think he will do enough to stop the takedowns. He's very patient. He's not rash. He's probably going to be lighting up Piccolotti on the outside from range. He's got the finishing upside. I lean towards Piccolotti probably not finishing him if he gets him down and getting his back. You know, who has he finished? You know, kept losing position against Outlaw, kept losing position against Banoui, Georgi Karatarian, Benson Henderson. So yeah, I lean Nallo. Is just how much value is on that line at the moment, and can you trust him? You know, I see some money's coming on Piccolotti and Bet365, so I'm tempted again, but we'll see. I lean Nallo here. I haven't played anything, It's a favourite of pass for me, but yeah, it's hard. Both these guys, I would like to see more. There's more footage of Piccolotti. I know what he's capable of. It's just Mandel, Nallo. I wish there was more round 3 footage, consistent grappling footage of Nallo. But yeah, I'll lean him. Sullivan, Cauley, Luke Trainer. All right, talk about the most popular fight on the card. Right, tons of line movement on Luke Trainer. Do I regret not playing Luke at the early line? You could say that now. Taped it originally, couldn't get a read, passed. And then, the more money's coming in on him, I'm thinking maybe I should have just taken the play there due to the fact that, you can't get a read, but you can't really see Colby covering. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not against playing it later on when I retape. I'm trying not to retape as much anymore just because I've realized over the past few weeks, a lot of time when I retaped, it didn't give me any better reads, and the fights that I didn't retape ended up happening exactly as I thought. So I'm trying to trust my initial read just because of the time constraints. Things are getting tougher to get tape out, and podcasts and Discord, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, ultimately, like I said, hard fight to get a read on. I do favor Cauley. I do think Cauley's got a lot of advantages. He's the more physical guy. He's got the raw athleticism and power. Better wrestling by miles. Yeah, big power. We've seen him run through people like Ben Parrish. Big Tuna represent. One of the best fighters out there. Fought Jay Radic, a really tall kickboxing dude, and just, got on top and just put him out cold, ground and pound. If you go back to his older career in his amateurs, he's lost 2 split decisions to a 9-0 guy. Shane Mapadis. This guy is, massive, fat as all hell. But his attributes weren't that bad. He was getting up and brawling, and he kind of gassed out Cauley. Cauley just kind of broke in there. He was tired. It was a 5-round amateur fight, so 25 minutes. Is that right? No, 15 minutes, my bad. So it was like a normal decision. And then Billy Alicana, we just seen Billy Alicana win on PFL. I can't find that fight. I was actually looking for that fight when taping Billy and his PFL Challengers debut. And Billy's just a long rangy striker that looks to sprawl and brawl. So probably what Luke Trainer is going to do here. But I think he does have the much better takedown defense. So he's lost on his amateurs, but, one fight I can find, the other one I can't. Whenever he's got extended, he's kind of gassed out there. And, I mean, I can see the fade, why people are fading him with Trainer. Due to the fact that in his Bellator career, all round 1 finishes, never been extended, mostly bums. But I think he might be improving since then. It's 2022 now. Those were in 2019. You need your first L. You need to experience the cardio gas. In the other amateur fights, I've seen him take people down for 3 rounds. And it's just, what I see on the Luke Trainer side. Now, Luke Trainer, really tall guy. Jiu-jitsu is his game. Tries to fight long. Knees, elbows, patient fighter. A great back taker. And that's it. I was actually thinking, imagine how many girls this guy gets. 6'6", tall blonde dude, wide shoulders, English accent, lucky bastard, But anyway, it's just I've seen a lot of red flags from Trainer. If you go back to his amateur career against Matthew Byfield, the guy that I recently parlayed like a square for 1,500 in Cage Warriors. Byfield, predominantly a striker, trains with Dylan Edwards, and he was just taking him down for 3 rounds. And Trainer won that fight. It didn't show a lick of takedown defense. I think Trainer won based on, getting up and doing all the damage on the feet, I guess. I'm always surprised when he wins that fight. That was a while back, so let's not reference that too much. But, then you watch the Yannick Bahati fight, not the best fighter. And then, obviously, his one and only loss against Simon Byong. That was, a big red flag. Byong took him down there with ease. Trainer reversed, took his back, couldn't finish him. And then you look like he might be taking over. And then he got rocked in rounds two, and, he got rocked in rounds 3 as well. So, kind of seeing some chin issues there. And, Byong is a big athletic guy. He's got power. It's just, you look at Byong's record, he lost to Christian Edwards that I mentioned before. He's not fought the best level of the competition either. So what's Luke Trainer's level? Then he fought Lucas Alcina, an old Argentinian dude that's a bum, and just ran through him like he should have. So it's a hard fight to get a read. The only thing I know is Cauley most likely will get a takedown over Trainer, and Trainer might also be chinny, and then it's like, what happens there? I can see Trainer maybe getting a scramble and getting his back, and then how good is Cauley's jiu-jitsu? I guess that's the only reason I'm kind of regretting not taking the at least the $500 shot, like a third of a unit. I'm doing thirds of units because now it's easy, 500, 1,000, 1,500. Because a quarter, quarters are too much of a random number. But yeah, that's why I'm regretting it. At least put it on there on just for the fact that maybe Cauley gets extended, maybe he has the worst jiu-jitsu. But yeah, it's a hard fight to get a read. Like someone says in the chat, Taylor Walters, Trainer's not good, Cauley to win a decision. Yeah, that's ultimately that's where I'm leaning towards. And yeah, the only time Trainer's been extended, he kind of gas bagged. So it's yeah, I want to say dog or pass because I don't really want to advocate for Trainer at -2 for Cauley at -200. But I mean, yeah, it's a show me fight. Let me show me where these prospects are at. Big Bird UFC, Trainer don't got the cardio to beat Cauley. Well, if you watch the Beyond fight, it certainly didn't look like it. Jaleel, Willis, Rustam, Khabilov. Alrighty. Another popular one. Now, I did cave in and I did play the popular play here. Let me just have a sip of my coffee, which is freezing now. A lot of listeners, appreciate the listeners, means a lot, right? You always like the video, so like it, subscribe, and leave a comment. But I appreciate everyone listening, means a lot. So Jaleel Willis, I know this guy quite well, right? I know him so well that I missed out on him as a massive dog against Kyle Crutchmer, just because I really don't rate him that much. He's a decision machine, 1-2 jab merchant, not much power. Prone to making mistakes, IQ mistakes. You go back to watching his Carl Stewart fight in LFA. He was out-grappled to a decision there, which is a massive red flag. Carl Stewart, not the best wrestler, not the best cardio. Knocked out by Harvey Park in 3 minutes. So, I thought he was durable, but he's not. He can be wrestled. Beat Dakota Bush. Vincius de Jesus, the Jesus. 5 rounds. LFA title fight. One of the most boring fights you've ever seen in your life. And, then he fought against Mac Lemminger and Mendoka, and he beat him both in his Bellator debuts. Dropped round 2 to Lemminger. I think he had a guillotine and then ended up getting his back taken. So he won at 29-28. I think he won at 29-28 against Mendoka as well. He was an underdog. So it shows you what bookies think of him, right? And then, he was a popular dog against Bekhamov. And I fell into that trap, Magomed, he was off for a while. And I was like, you know what? How is this kid going to cover this line? Willis is, decent prospect, good cardio. I'm sure he can survive. And he drops him straight away and then jumps on his back, falls off, ends up on the bottom for the rest of the round until he just makes a mistake and gets guillotined. And I was like, that's the mistakes. That's the IQ mistakes that I remember. And then he does the same to Sabar Homasi, right? Gets his back taken. I think he made a mistake in the grappling, gets slammed, and gets arm triangle choke. Now, who does Homasi submit? Nobody. Right, so I don't, he's a well-rounded guy, but he's not unfinishable. He's not doesn't have amazing takedown defense. So I go in there and he's a massive dog against Crutchmer, and I get the Crutchmer's very one-dimensional. I've been trying to fade him before, lost money. So I'm like, no way I'm fading him against Jaleel Willis. Jaleel Willis is going to do something stupid, and he's going to be defending the takedowns, and then he's going to do something retarded, and then he's going to lose like a 29-28 split decision. And then he goes out there and gets a 30-27 across the board. For the first time in his life, he actually covers and looks amazing against probably his stiffest test, right? Which is probably something to say more about Kyle Crutchmer being so one-dimensional than anything. And even then, he cracks Crutchmer in the first round and straight away clinches up with him and pushes him out against the cage. So can someone tell me why Willis wanted to clinch up with him, right? Maybe his coaches yelled at him after that, rounds 2 and 3. He didn't clinch up with him. He continued to light him up. He's a tall, rangy guy. He did stuff some decent takedowns in round 3. But yeah, maybe he showed me some improvement there. Ultimately, made me look like a fool. Sometimes you just have to play the number, right? Now this one, now I've played him against Rustam Khabilov as a favorite, and it's like, is this going to be a square play? Is Willis going to come back and make me look like a fool? Show me that he's still making those mistakes? I feel like he might give up takedowns here. I don't think his takedown defense is that amazing, but I just had to play the juice line. Rustam Khabilov, I know him well. He was around when I was watching UFC as a young man. He's just another decision machine. I just watched his last 3 fights. Got a split decision against Kajan Johnson as a massive, massive favorite. And straight away, I was like, I can see the play. I can see why the line is moving. This is going to be a massive damage versus control. Every time he got Kajan down, he got up and just kind of started lighting him up. Diego Ferreira 30-27'd him. That was a prime Ferreira, so there's no harm in that. And then he moved up to welterweight, and his last fight against Sergey Kondosko, who doesn't have the best takedown defense. He spent 2 rounds against the cage, pushing Sergey against the cage and not being able to take him down or hold him down. Round 3, he had a little bit more success, and he still won 29-28. He dropped a unanimous round on all judges' scorecard. So this guy is a blanket. He can't really win a 30-27. He's not a good favorite. That was in 2019. Right now, it's 2023. He's 36 now. He's still at welterweight. I'm sure, even if he's the same guy that fought Johnson and Ferreira and Kadonsko, maybe I wouldn't play him here against Willis. But I think Willis, as bonehead as he can be, he's 31. He's going to have all the volume on the feet. I'm just hoping, Rustam at 36 years of age, he's still going to be gassy. He's still going to be low output. He's still going to be a blanket. I'm just hoping Willis is going to edge it. At worst and at best, it's the exact same matchup as the the Kyle Crutchmer fight. So he just needs to come out there. Don't be too cocky. He was fighting for his job last time, and he really fought like that. Just because he got a win now, he can't be an idiot. So yeah, I have a play on Jaleel Willis here. I only put 750 on him. There's something putting me off that line. Maybe I was thinking putting 250 on the decision line, but I don't know. Maybe with the layoff, maybe Rustam Khabilov is a bit. Maybe he wants to quit in there. I don't know. I've seen him get lit up by Ferreira and Sergey. And Willis says, he's cracked Crutchmer. He's dropped Bekhamov. Maybe it's better I just lay the money line here. But yeah, he should have all the volume. Even if he's on the bottom, he should get up. Khabilov not very dangerous. So yeah, very square play on Jaleel Willis like the whole world. But hopefully he covers. Actually, I don't care if he covers as long as he wins. But let's move on. Prodigy MMA, fun Bellator card, great insight, Steve. Thank you, mate. Appreciate the pods, brother. Great stuff. KDM 1523, really hard names. CMG, Bellator Mid AF. I don't know, man. This is a good card. Don't hate on Bellator. Mr. X. Rustam Khabilov likely has the semen retention edge too. Mate, whenever my competition comes along, I'm semen retaining hard. Don't knock the semen retention. There's a high probability he's shoving needles up his ass in the Dagestani mountains. Maybe, mate, but doesn't Bellator have USADA? I know they might not have USADA, but I think they're better than PFL and some of the others where they're juiced to the tits. Prodigy, Khabilov training part-time. Yes, Khabilov has had a cushy government job for the last 3 years. So why is he coming back? Who knows? John Salter, Aaron Jeffery. I don't want to talk too much about this fight. The line is outrageous. Not outrageous enough for me to play Jeffery, but I get it. The guy's in his prime. He's, 31? 30 years old. And, he's coming off 2 knockouts. Usually he's a decision machine. He loves to cage push a lot, even when his opponents want to cage push him, which, John Salter will want to do that here. But, he's kind of coming into his own. He's knocked out some good fighters before. He's knocked out Bruno Assis on the regionals. He's knocked out Andrei Petrosky, who's now in the UFC doing quite well. Fabio Aguilar, the guy's a bit of a weasel, knocked him out. He knocked out Mr. PVZ, Paige Van Zandt. in the first round. So he's always had power. He's just a lot of time he just grapples, and he's fought this kind of matchup so many times in his career. He has been rear naked choked by Brandon Allen on Contender Series. That's how Brandon Allen got his contract. But I think someone correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure Brandon Allen dropped him with a knee up the middle as well. So Bruno Assis, Brendan Allen, Colin Huckbody, Petrosky, Kaya Bohado, Rex Harris, Fabio Aguilar, Austin Vanderford. These are all the guys that wanted to grapple him, and he's fought this style of matchup so many times before. John Salter, he's a good wrestler, great back taker, amazing jiu-jitsu, but he's just getting up there in age, 38 years old. He's only beaten bums, Chitty, 2018. Van Steenis is a good win, actually. Andrew Kappel, Musashi, he got the first round and a half against Musashi, got finished in the third. So he just falls off a cliff. And then, Johnny Eblin just 30-27 them, stayed safe in his guard. Yeah, I think the line, he's too old and too gassy for me to want to take the dog here. And he does still win round one at a pretty high clip because his wrestling is so good and his jiu-jitsu is so good. He usually takes the back and he has the cardio to do it early. But yeah, this is nothing I'm really interested in this fight. Probably just play Aaron Jeffery live. It is on the main card, so I should be getting live betting. Other than that, I think it's a pretty straightforward fight. There might be some value on Salter. I'm not rushing to lay it on a 38-year-old underdog with cardio issues. And Jeffery has some power. So whereas the other guys couldn't punish him, maybe Jeffery can knock him out in rounds 2 and 3. What do we have here? I can't believe Jeffery decision opened up at plus 550. That's interesting. What's it at now? They obviously favor the knockout. Kat Zingano, Leah McCourt. I haven't looked into it. Zingano, massive favorite. She's 40 years of age. What could go wrong? She's going to have the athleticism, the takedown, the physicality advantage. Leah McCourt is just weak as piss, if I'm being nice. She's got some judo throws, but I think, Zingano is going to be out-muscling her all day long. She made Pam Sorenson look like a child, submitted that soccer mom Olivia Parker, and couldn't finish Gabrielle Holloway, which is embarrassing. I know my friend Akai Mountaineer has like 5 units on the doesn't go, plus money. I can't really say anything towards that. It's plus money, so. But yeah, this is a crapshoot of a fight. Haven't looked into it, not in a rush either. Okay, a fight that I have looked into. This beautiful, beautiful main event. Let me have a sip. Marcelo Golm versus Daniel James. Decent fight. Probably a bunch of better fights on this card, to be honest, that we've just talked about, but it's probably because it's a heavyweight fight they made it the main event. Is this actually... No, it's only 3 rounds. Just wanted to make sure. Yeah, Daniel James, one of my biggest regrets is not sprinkling him against Tyrell Fortune. I just didn't know how he was going to look on his back. There wasn't much footage. Or maybe there was, but I think that's why I was passing. The guy has a lot of advantages. He's a mammoth, 6'6", 82 inches of reach. He's fought at super heavyweight before. He has to cut to heavyweight. Whenever I take this guy, I always think, man, I wonder how much ammunition is this guy packing, You can only imagine. But anyway, back on topic. He's just kind of like a plotting pressure striker. He comes forward. He leans back. He kind of looks to counter. If he is going to lose a fight, it's going to be, someone that's more slick, quicker than him, just because he's a little bit flat-footed and because he's so big, obviously. Daniel Emilenchik, of all people, in 2001, who's extremely washed now in KSW, losing to everyone. He kind of outstruck him for 3 rounds, leg kick to move. Michal Martinek, the Czech guy, he was just super light. He's undersized. He was sticking and moving. He dropped him in the first round, and, eventually Daniel James started pressuring him hard in round 2, got on top of him and finished him in crucifix. Most of this guy's finishes come when he ends up on top. As you can imagine, he's just absolutely massive. People just don't know how to handle his weight. especially the heavyweights. A lot of them are turtles. Last 3 fights in ACA, he actually dropped a lot of them. Pessoa, Smolderev. These guys are actually chinny, but he's dropping him. He's had a title fight in LFA, against Brett Martin, 5-rounder, lost via illegal knee in round 5. Beat another Patrick Martin. He's good. I went deep into his career when taping him for Tyree Fortune. He's good. For 41 years of age, means nothing at heavyweight. He seems to be, reaching his, I don't want to say prime, but he's doing well at an older age, and he's fought a good level of competition. And you know what you're getting from him. You're getting power, you're getting decent boxing, you're getting durability, decent takedown defense, and finishing if he ends up on top. Marcelo Golm, this guy's always been a little bit of a disappointment. Ever since dropping the ball in UFC. Got held up against the cage against Tim Johnson, lost to Arjan Bula, got finished by Sergey Pavlovich, which means nothing. Got his walking papers and just fought some bums on the regional scene. DJ Linderin. Brendan Herbert. Now, Brendan Herbert cracked him with a really big uppercut in rounds 1, and then he got taken down and arm triangled. Billy Swanson, who's the bum of all bums. And then Davion Franklin in Bellator had a really good back-and-forth fight. Franklin was throwing him around, gassed himself out doing it. They were both gassed, staring at each other, and then in round 3, Golm dug deep and took him down and locked in the rear naked choke for the win. So I want to say he's kind of well-rounded. He's got a good jiu-jitsu game. He's got okay striking. He's got a good calf kick. He trains at AKA as far as I know. American Top Team, I always mix those two up. And he's well-rounded. He's got good striking, good okay wrestling. He will mix in takedowns, but it's not the best. He just ended up cage pushing a lot when he gets tired. He does slow down. And then when he slows down, he's just kind of, he kind of falls apart a little bit. He can be held up against the cage and taken down himself. He seems to have okay jiu-jitsu for a heavyweight, but he loses position a lot. So he fell off the back against Herbert and he didn't get up, which is one of the regional guys at XMMA. And he fell off the back against Franklin, or Franklin actually slammed him off his back multiple times. There's a lot of red flags I see there that I wouldn't really trust him as a favorite. Decent, not a decent favorite, moderate favorite. Against someone like James, it's going to come. It's going to put pressure on him. What if Marcelo Golm is gassed and he falls off the back of Daniel James? We've seen what Daniel James did to Tyrell Fortune if you slow it down, right? So, this one is a clear dog or pass for me. I will play at 110% if you want to tail, if you want to come back and abuse me if bet loses. But I'll definitely be playing this one. I was just kind of waiting, and the line's not going anywhere. I would have liked a little bit more plus money, but I don't think anyone's really confident on Marcelo Golm, so that's why it's staying where it is, which is understandable. So I might just have to bite the bullet and just play James now before people actually catch on and start playing James. The main concern is, Golm being a little bit more faster, better footwork early, and obviously I feel like the calf kick is going to be there against James early since he's so flat-footed. But I feel like at some point James is maybe going to punish him, crack him, catch him with something. He's got like 7 inches of reach advantage. He's just going to fight for your money. And I feel like Marcelo Golm won't be able to take him down. They both got back. I actually think Golm has worse cardio. I think Golm has worse cardio. And James is going to bring a steady pace. He's not going to gas himself out. He's just going to be doing the same thing for 3 rounds, and he might actually turn it on if he's losing. So easy dog or pass for me. I like what I see from James. It's semi-low level heavyweight fight, but I'm back to the well with him again. Alrighty. Not bad. Just over an hour, 16 fights. Let's quickly go over everything. Maria Henderson, Mackenzie is still up. I'm going to have to take the dog. I mean, I don't have much conviction, but the line's a bit out there. Bryce Meredith, Brendan Carrillo, pass. Randy Field, Ashley Cummins, dog or pass. Cummins coming out of retirement, 15 pounds up a weight. Mike Hamel, Nick Browne, dog or pass. If you want to play Hamel, I mean, I guess decision is the best path. Christian Edwards, Rakim Cleveland, massive pass. Tokov, Gibson, Arlene Tokov by decision. Brennan, San Diego, pass. Archie, Colgan, Montalvo. I get money on Montalvo. I just think he's got too many disadvantages here. Joey Davis, haven't even taped. Pam, Sorenson, dog or pass for me here. Maybe I'll come around to it if money keeps on coming on Pam. Adam Piccolotti, Mandel, Nallo. I'm leaning Nallo. He's just, he's dropped the ball as this kind of a favorite before. Luke Trainer, the most popular dog on the card. I passed at the moment. I want to retape to see, but I just know I'm not going to see anything because it's hard fight to get a read on. So pass. Jaleel Willis, I played him a juice. I just think he's going to have the volume advantage here and the output and the cardio against the wet blanket in Khabilov that's coming back from 3 years off, and he was already looking washed even before he went on his leave of absence. John Salter, big pass. Zingano pass, and Daniel James, I played. So I'm not passing everything. So what are we going to play? I'll probably play a Stiller. Maybe I'll play Nick Browne. We'll see. Maybe I'll play Nick Browne with a bit of Hamel decision hedge. We'll see. We'll see where the line keeps going. It's getting a bit out of hand. Tokov. Nallo. I'm close to Nallo. We'll see where the line goes. Trainer. No, I'm going to leave it. Willis already played. I might add more. Just because I'm a bit freaked out by the decision. Like Khabilov, I don't know. Whenever I play the decision against these old wash guys that are coming back, maybe for a paycheck, maybe Willis brings the quid out of him. Who knows? And definitely playing James. So if I'm going to do my best bets, I've only locked in one. And it's definitely not going to be Willis. Willis at juice is not going to be my best bet, just in case he ends up messing me up and looking like a massive square play. It's going to be... whatever. It's going to have to be... Daniel James is my favorite play. I like it. No hesitation playing him as a dog. I was just waiting for a better line. And Jaleel Willis, I guess. Make me look like a fool. But yeah, Jaleel Willis, $1.66. I think that's probably... If he fights like the Krachmar fight, he will look value even at that line. But we'll see. All depends on how bad Khabilov looks. Yeah, that's it. Big Bird UFC. Just play James KO as well, plus 290. Yeah, it depends, mate. Depends what I have. But I can see James winning a decision, so I don't want to... I don't want to go too crazy. But yeah, like and subscribe if you haven't. Leave a comment. Like I said, you're doing great on the likes. I appreciate it. Likes mean a lot. It actually shows me that you enjoy the footage when I work hard and don't get my sleep. But chuck some comments on there. Let's discuss. Tomorrow, similar time, I'll be doing a PFL. By Sunday, I'll actually finalize some bets as well. I like to think about them. Probably have some more Bellator when props open up. But other than that, thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Good luck on your bets, and I'll see you tomorrow.